Hello Magic lovers, do you want to play Allies in Modern? Well then I have a deck for you. Naya Allies. The Modern beats deck that's so fast it can even beat an Eldrazi Menace. Now the main goal of this deck is to gain incremental damage and advantage in the form of counters. And this is done through ETB triggers, also known as rally triggers, when other allies enter the battlefield. Now the bread and butter, the 1-drop extravaganza, is Hada Freeblade. Hada Freeblade is basically gains his incremental power over time in the form of counters, where every time an ally hits the battlefield, or it sees itself hit the battlefield, it'll gain a counter. So it's a 1-drop that hits the battlefield as a 1/2. Definitely a bear status. So this is an allies bears deck that grows in such an exponential manner. Another 1-drop that helps us build that growth is Expedition Envoy, a 2/1 white bear that really is just there for the triggers, and as well as that, it is a beat stick. It's a 2/1 for 1 that can help just seal the deal and end the game in a matter of no time. So Expedition Envoy, very great 1-drop. Let's go to our 2-drops. I've got the Oran-Rief Survivalist running 4 of those, and he's literally just another Hada Freeblade that grows faster because it starts as a 1/1 instead of 0/1. It's a bear status. It hits the battlefield, sees itself hit the battlefield, gets a counter, and becomes a 2/2 for 2. It's definitely a bear, very good and pretty solid. They all grow exponentially by the end of the game. By turn 4, you'll see yourself swinging for lethal almost 90% of the time. Kazandu Blademaster is the better version of Oran-Rief Survivalist. Hits the field as a 2/2 for 2 white, but it has built-in First Strike and Vigilance. Now this guy is a beat stick with he's a threat to the opponent, and the Vigilance and First Strike is so relevant in sealing the deal and avoiding harsh trades and just getting rid of the creatures. You'll see this being targeted a lot, but it is a solid piece of this deck. The only downfall of it is a 2 white, so we have to build a mana base to make sure we can get that double white very easily. Okay, now for utility ally, we've got Akoum Battlesinger. Now this guy is the finisher. His ability basically gives him haste, so he hits the battlefield and swings, but every time an ally hits the battlefield and it sees itself hit the battlefield, all your creatures get +1 attack. So basically you Coco into this, and if you Coco into 2 of these, you usually swing for +4 to all creatures, and whatever other ally utilities you have. You're usually swinging for lethal as soon as you get these onto the board. A very powerful card, very integral to this deck. For its cheapness, it is a solid ally, and the ETB trigger is insane. I've got 2 Kor Bladewhirls, because that First Strike is so relevant. I thought I'd give it to all my allies. Helps with the trades, etc. It's just a great card, very good utility card. 2 Lantern Scouts. Lantern Scouts for life gain, very good. Gives you that advantage, so that way there's no way your opponent can come back and beat you back. Usually your creatures get so incrementally high in their power and toughness that you drop one of the Lantern Scouts in turn 4 or 5, and you've basically sealed the game as well. Your life total will be insane, even if they can survive your onslaught. Now for the main Pest of Resistance, we have the Firemantle Mage and Kabira Evangel. They're basically 2-in-1, the same kind of idea. They're basically so you can swing over their creatures and attack for lethal. This is like the Spreading Seas of a Merfolk deck in a tribal ally format. Now, right at this moment, well, Eldrazi is still a thing in Modern. I would run 4 Firemantle Mage because protection from colorless isn't a thing. But I'm anticipating that to rotate to be banned, and that deck to be less of a threat. So at the moment, I only suggest running 1 Firemantle Mage and 4 Kabira Evangels. Firemantle Mage gives all your allies menace, so they have to be blocked by 2 or more. It's pretty solid, can help you swing for lethal at very crucial times. Kabira Evangel is a fucking great card because it gives you protection from color every time it sees itself or another ally hit the battlefield. This means you can basically swing over most decks when you play it on turn 3 or turn 4, and that power is insane in terms of just finishing the game out. Now for huge burst of power and Ally ETB madness, we're running 4 Cocos. Oh yeah, collected companies in this deck. You're gonna drop allies almost every time. I don't think I've ever hit a Coco that was empty in this deck. It's so dense with allies, it just Cocos into an ally every single time. And the best moments are when you just Coco into 2 of those Akoum Battlesingers and you've got 1 already on the field, and then already have a Kabira Evangel in play. You basically swing for lethal on turn 4. GG, it's game over. Collected company, broken card, love it. Bread and butter to the deck. For recursion, I have Return to the Ranks, just 1 in the main board. Usually I pay for it with mana or with the creatures on the battlefield, such as Expedition Envoy. I basically gain back all those allies that have died, and they all cause the ETB triggers to happen. So Return to the Ranks is just great if you're going into a long grinding game and you're like, okay, just bring back all the allies and swing for lethal all over again, and that's it. Kabira Evangel usually gets wiped out straight away somehow, so if you can get that back on the board, it's usually GG again. AEther Vials. I only run 3 now. You should run 4, but for me, I just wanted to fit in another ally, and I'll get to him in a second. AEther Vials is usually your free ally drop, but there's a lot of times where it's a dead draw. There's a lot of times where it's benefit to the game doesn't matter anymore because it's too late game, but usually it's a free ally drop early game. It can get you that lethal on turn 4 every single time, so it's definitely important to run some. I don't run 4 anymore, but running 4 would be the best in terms of consistency in the deck. But for a little bit more mana, I run 1 Gideon ally of Zendikar in the deck, which is basically an AEther Vial to me because it drops a ally token every turn, which is a more consistent form of ally dropping, which means more incremental growth and more damage in the long run. And then you just +1 him and swing with him or with all the other allies and just give it protection from colors and just break the whole format. Or you just -4 him and give everyone +1 and just swing for lethal. It doesn't matter. Like he's a cornerstone of my deck. I enjoy playing with him. Let's get to lands now. We played the Cavern of Souls. Cavern of Souls is a great card. It's a tribal necessity. Basically, every time you have a tribal deck, you want to play Cavern of Souls. You call out the tribe, the name, the creature type, which in our case is allies, and you basically can pay any mana color with this card and give it protection from counters. So you basically will not be countered if you're playing allies. Another broken card for allies is Ally Encampment. It has a cool feature where you can sacrifice this by paying a mana and tapping a Ally Encampment, and then being able to bounce a creature back to your hand, protecting it, allowing you to play it and gain an ETB trigger again next turn. We got the fetch lands, Wooded Foothills and Windswept Heath. You should play 1 Arid Mesa on top of that as well, but I don't have one on me, so that's what I'm playing in terms of fetch lands. Shocks, Temple Gardens, and Sacred Foundries. If you enjoy Shocks more than basic lands, then you should play another Sacred Foundry and 2 Stomping Grounds. But I've decided to include 5 basic lands because Blood Moon is a thing, and sometimes I have to like stand there and just be like, oh god, what's happening now? There's a Blood Moon and all my shock lands mean nothing. So play some basics. It's time to play basics. It's always good, but keep some shocks as well. So have a good mix, good balance, and you won't have any problems. Alright, now I'm gonna go into sideboard. I play the Chameleon Colossus. It's a good finisher. If you find yourself not finishing the game quick enough, he just swings for lethal a lot. Ondu Cleric, Lantern Scout replacement, or also addition to Lantern Scout when you're playing against Burn. You gain life based on how many allies you control. It's great. Tuktuk Scrapper. It is a artifact remover. We have a lot of robots around, so we got to get rid of them. Another Firemantle Mage, so that we can get more incursion, more swinging over the top. Turn to the ranks. If games get really grindy, put another one.